let's close out our FBS games. I do have one FCS game here on the slate as well, as is going to be customary this year. We have Coastal Carolina at UCLA. UCLA is a 14.5-point home favorite, has an over-under of 66. Coffee time. Game kicks off at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Now, keep in mind, that's a little bit of a body clock for Coastal Carolina, who is coming from, as the name suggests, the opposite coast. And they're going to be playing at 10:30 p.m. This game airs on ESPN. Chase Garbers, believe it or not, beat out Dante Moore and Colin Schlee for quarterback one for UCLA. But I'd be surprised if we didn't see Dante Moore at any point early on in the season. If this game gets a little bit out of hand, I'm sure he'll be the first one to come in. This one has a high total, hasn't moved very much. FEI projects 71 points. SP Plus projects 65 points, so I can kind of see why that hasn't moved very much. However, UCLA may be run-focused, right, with Carson Steele and a strong offensive line, and Coastal Carolina's potential second option to not field the defense this year. We'll see. I don't think that they have the dudes to be able to keep up with UCLA. UCLA, size-wise, just absolutely outmatches this Coastal Carolina team. And Carson Steele, like I mentioned before, 74% of his rushing yards came after contact. So, yeah, I think they're going to line up and run the football. I'm very interested, though, to see Grayson McCall outside of the Jamie Chadwell system. I said I didn't love Tim Beck at NC State. He comes over. He's now the head coach at Coastal. He brings in USF offensive coordinator Travis Trickett. That's a high-flying, a higher-scoring one. A lot of short passing, which is good, I think, for McCall. But, again, I need to see him outside that system. Still a very good quarterback, though. UCLA returns 10 starters on defense, but that unit was 120th in pass EPA last year. So I don't know if that's good or bad.
McCall is a good quarterback. I know there was some surprise that he, remained at Coastal Carolina after flirting with the transfer portal this past year, Chadwell leaving. It's intriguing, this Coastal Carolina team this year. The Sun Belt races in both divisions are going to be really good. We've talked about that before. This won't affect that, but it will be good to get our first look at Coastal in this game against a tough opponent, because I do have UCLA minus 13.5. It's an 83% win expectancy. UCLA, for me, is power rated number 30. Coastal Carolina power rated number 76. So there is, a significant discrepancy here. Coastal traveling across the country, as you said. It's pretty clear both these teams are offense-oriented. I do like Coastal's number 46 offense to be able to score some points on this UCLA number 66 defense. But for me, it's the UCLA offense, which I have number 13 nationally. Again, the Pac-12 has so many good offenses against the number 97 Coastal Carolina defense. That's a huge mismatch. Plus, this game is in the Rose Bowl. I know people talk about it's really not a home field advantage because no one goes to those games. They got to travel across the country. You got to play in someone else's stadium. Do I wish there were more people there? Of course. But it's still going to be difficult for Coastal in this one. UCLA is somewhat of a sleeper pick for some to make some noise in the Pac-12, largely due to the schedule for me. But I could see that kind of conversation. I expect they're going to get it done here in week one. Bottom line, I have UCLA minus 13.5 at home with an 83% win expectancy for the Bruins.
Yeah, definitely don't underplay the fact that these are college kids going from one coast to another, flying forward 3 hours and then having to play at 10:30 at night. Your game's not going to end, as we'll see, until 1:30 in the morning, local internal time. That is a little bit of a body clock game for me, not as badly as Fresno State traveling back and playing at 9 a.m., because as we know, college kids, most of them are better off later on in the day than they are early in the day. I'm speaking from, old experience there myself. My gut tells me that the under is probably the better side here, especially with that running clock rule and the propensity maybe for UCLA to run the football quite a bit. But these respected projections have it right at the number or above it, so I think I'm going to end up passing on the total here. You have UCLA 13.5, I have UCLA 14, so I think that the spread is also going to be passed for me as well.